Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Produce Buzzers podcast. We are so happy you have joined us today, and I think you will be too after the show is over, because you will learn a lot about fresh fruits and vegetables, how to select and store them, how to prepare and cook them, and surprising facts about their history and origin. We hope it inspires you to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, not only for your health, but also for your delight and pleasure as you explore their amazing world of taste and delicious flavors. Eating more of them will transform your life in so many positive ways. So settle back, relax, and get ready for another delicious adventure with the Produce Buzzers. Greetings and welcome to another delicious episode of the Produce Buzzers podcast. I'm Edwin Stepp, your host and executive editor of ProduceBuzz.com. I'm joined once again by Teresa Nolan, the founder and president of Produce Buzz, along with Rick Stepp and Cynthia Benedetto, both contributing editors to Produce Buzz. Now, Produce Buzzers podcast fans, we've got a unique subject and guest today to help you learn more about your food. We're stepping into the future of food, and it might look a little different than what you expect. Our guest today is Ozaskinli, a food futurist and partner at ValueGene, a firm that helps companies understand emerging trends, consumer behavior, and the forces shaping the future of the food industry. Ozan works at the intersection of innovation, strategy, and food systems, helping organizations anticipate what's coming next rather than reacting after it arrives. When most people think about the future of food, they imagine lab-grown meat or high-tech gadgets in the kitchen, but the truth is that fresh fruits and vegetables are at the center of some of the most important shifts happening in food today. From health and sustainability to new technologies, supply chains, and changing consumer expectations. In the produce world, we're seeing everything from AI-powered agriculture and controlled environment farming to new varieties bred for flavor, nutrition, and resilience. At the same time, consumers are demanding more transparency, more sustainability, and more connection to the origins of their food. So today we're going to explore the big questions. What will the produce department look like in the next 20, 20, or even 50 years? What trends should growers, retailers, and consumers be paying attention to right now? And how can the fresh produce industry stay ahead of the curve in a rapidly changing food landscape? Ozan, welcome to the Produce Buzzers podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here, and thank you for having me.
Yes, we're excited to have you. We're going to delve into this, but into the questions we were teasing there. But I want to know about Ozan. Tell us about your background and, how did you get into this field?
Yeah. I spent all of my professional life in consulting. I worked across multiple industries early on, but for the last decade, I focus on the food only. And because I really find it dynamic. So people maybe don't see that part much. So when we look at our plates, it seems the food does not change, or it changed quite slowly because it's cultural, it's experience. But in the back end, a lot of things are changing. So the journey of the food is changing every day. And it's really sits in the intersection of health, agriculture, manufacturing, supply chain. So there's a lot of things to learn, discover every single day. That's why I'm really passionate about the food industry. And another perspective is I'm originally from Turkey, and in our culture, food is almost everything. So I grow in big tables in the mornings, in the evening. So food is everything for me as well.
Yeah. I don't understand. I've been to Turkey a couple of times, and I see the way they eat. I see the bounty, just a variety of fresh fruits and vegetables and all kinds of food. Yet the Turkish people are so thin. How do they stay so thin? Please, I need the secret.
Yeah, to be honest, we eat, especially in the west side of Turkey, we eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. So really meat was in our table was always the secondary
Interesting.
food. So like we
Yeah.
had always at least two, three different type of vegetables in our plates. It's not always the same. If you go to the east side of Turkey, you will see more demand for meat. So some
Oh.
people don't leave the table without having any meat at all. But like in where I grow, like live, and it's really vegetables is the main part of the dish that we
Yeah,
have.
got it. Oh, well, that's interesting to hear because we like to encourage people to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables for health reasons.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is confirming a lot of what we've said, make the plate fruit and vegetable predominantly and meat kind of, a little less.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but,
And maybe just to end that, like in my in my conversation with my doctor last time, he gave me an interesting fact. So he was saying that previously, the people who have a bit more under budget was much more slim in Turkey. But then the access to fruits and vegetables started to become a challenge for the people. So they
oh,
go to for more packet foods. Then the
right.
real that group is also gaining weight. So really is changing. Fruit is
Yeah,
really fruits and vegetables are great evidence that like he has huge impact in the entire country's like
yeah,
health and
yeah.
wellness.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that processed foods are taking up that,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
but you still have a lot of variety, and hopefully it's
yeah.
not getting too expensive. So that's great. That's good. So we teased that we're going to talk about the future of food, and specifically, we're going to delve into fresh produce. We don't mind if you want to talk about some other aspects of food, but our focus is fresh produce. But you are known as a food futurist. What exactly is a food futurist? Maybe it's very obvious from the name, but maybe you can define it for us a little
No,
bit.
uh, it's really about thinking about the forces that will impact the food industry in the future. So I'm spending most of my time to help the companies to solve their problem that they have today, but also allocating significant of my time to think about the forces in the future. So it is longevity, home cooking technologies, climate, food technology, food economics. So we are trying to look all of these forces and then trying to understand their dependencies, the way that they interact, and trying to convert them to some actionable tasks that a processor, a producer, a distributor should think about today. So I would say really the food industry is entering a period of change that is more profound right now because the 20th century food system was built around cheap calories, scarcity. Now it's changing. So we are heading a different direction, and this generation needs to solve some of the problems that we have today. And I'm trying to think about how the industry can overcome those challenges in the future.
Yeah, and they're huge challenges, and nothing is more important than the food supply. So the work you are doing is very crucial. So hats off to you. And Value Gene is the company you work with. You're a partner there. Tell us about Value Gene. What do they do, and how have they impacted the food industry?
Value Gene is a boutique consulting firm just working on the food industry. And we are focusing on three main areas. One of them is the strategy side. So we help companies to think about their portfolios, investment choices based on the short term and long term trends. And the other side is the commercial area. We work with the leadership teams to strengthen their marketing and sales efforts in the organization. And the other side is operations. So we work really directly with the supply chain leaders or the plant teams to improve the, the efficiency, reduce the costs, cut the waste. So with like minimum investment, so they can really get benefit from their efforts.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like working directly with clients, we are always trying to bring new perspectives. So we are always writing white papers about the upcoming trends in the markets. So whether it is humanoids, GLP-1, ultra processed foods. So we are trying to put our perspective and then share with as many people as possible.
Yeah, excellent. That's important work, and and there's a lot of factors, but it sounds like you're involved in a lot of aspects up and down the food
Yeah.
supply chain, and that's good to know. Well, let's talk about when you look at the global food system right now, what are the biggest forces shaping the future of fresh fruits and vegetables? First off, if you want to talk about some other aspects of it, that's fine too, but let's focus on fresh fruits and vegetables.
Exactly. Fresh produce is really like one of the core areas that I'm interested in. And the 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 f- the first one that everyone knows and talks these days is the longevity. I think
Uh,
that will be here for a very long time. So we are now talking about reaching 90s, hundreds with an active body and mind. And this is not about having only a single healthy plate. This is really about what we will eat along the way. And then whether it's a fiber, like functional benefits, like everything that we will eat will be linked to longevity going forward.
oh,
This is one thing that we are talking about with the companies. The other one is, I believe, the home cooking.
oh,
I'm really hoping for that the home cooking is coming back, because we know that one third of Americans say that they don't have time to cook. Maybe they can afford it, but maybe they can have the best vegetables, best fruits, best meat, but they don't have time to cook.
interesting.
And technologies is it will help on that front as well. So far we had only air fryers, smart ovens, but I believe new devices. I see that new devices are coming, so they are not just like there to cook the food, but they prepare the entire meal for you. You need to just to provide the ingredients. They stir it, they make it, they put the ingredients right right order, and then and you can set it from your mobile phone, and then when you come to home, you have fresh cooked meal. So I think
Really?
yeah,
That's
yeah, exactly. There is a company called Nosh. They are bringing their first product to the market in April. So like, I'm really looking forward to it. So I will
wow,
definitely
that's
try it.
exciting news.
Yeah.
That it's a is it a it's not a robot we're talking about. No robotics involved.
Yeah, it's not a robot. So they have like you have a tray. So you prepare all the ingredients and then put in the tray and then put in the machine. You schedule the time. Like everything is there, like oil, water, all the spices. It mix it and make it ready for you. So
Okay.
like this is really, of course, it requires some effort from the people. So you need to prepare it, you need to clean it in the end, but at least you don't need to be at home while it is preparing the meal for you. And this is, I believe, the first step. We will see more of those like technologies coming in the next couple of years, but eventually the thing that it will really change the dynamic will be the humanoid robots at our houses. So
Yeah.
that's the one. I think that will definitely solve the problem. Uh, and like we know that like Tesla's Optimus like scaled production is planned for 2027 summer. So it means that we can really start to see some like robots in our houses end of 2027, like 2028. So it's not that far off anymore. I'm not sure whether they
Interesting.
will be able to cook a good meal in the making. It's
Yeah.
that's fine
That's
if they
true.
can just make the egg in the very
Right.
beginning. But
Uh,
like that's I think that's really take away the like constraint of convenience and being able to cook at home, and so people will more cook more at home, will eat some more food at home rather than going outside just for convenience,
right.
because we also know that today like 70% of the people eat outside because of convenience, because they need food that time they couldn't cook at their home, so they have to make it. So this will change the entire industry.
Yeah. Is this company by any chance going to combine? It sounds like it's a machine of some kind or
Yeah,
something
it's
like
a
an air
kind of
fryer.
microwave size
Okay.
like machine. Yeah.
Are they
And that's what I
thinking?
want. I wanted to know, sorry, because I'll forget. How is it cooking with microwaves? Is it forcing air like an air fryer? What's the medium in which it cooks?
It's really
And is it
cooks.
one big? like a crock pot situation?
So it's a really like microwave type of machine. It has a really pan inside, and then there is an arm that is like putting the ingredients and then steering them, and then based on the order in the recipe. So like they have a recipe, they have like right now, if I'm not wrong, 500 recipes. So like you can really cook anything almost that you want. You can create your own recipe, but not, it's not air fryer, it's not like microwave. It's really like cooking it and steering it, like panning it, like with the like small robotic like arm in the machine.
But
So
but is it used? So you're saying you don't even have to be home. So does that mean that it's has the safety of a crock pot and you just turn it on and it
yeah,
starts and stops and it's not going to burn your house down?
I hope so. I
But
can't promise.
the problem with the crock pot is I always want to sear the vegetables and protein first and then transfer it to a crock pot, and then that can cook all day. But you have
Yeah.
to sear that first. So how are they going to get past that?
So now what they are doing is like you really put the fresh ingredient to a tray, and then there is a recipe. It takes the ingredients one by one. At the like also the oil inside automatically because it has a cup like for oil and water, and then it steers it one by one. And it's even look at the how the onion, what is the color of the onion? Is it
Huh.
really ready to add the next ingredient to top? So
Interesting.
like so it's really cooking the meal for you, and you can even adjust it by your type. Do you want more spice? Do you want like more cooked or like less cooked? So you can even play with these things. So it's really like profound. It's completely different from what we like see in the market right now. So, but I didn't test it, so I cannot prom. I don't have any promise, but definitely like I
Right.
The
ordered
picture
one.
looked really good. I like the idea.
Well, we got off a bit on a tangent there. You're probably sorry you brought up this machine, but but it's interesting. It's fascinating. So I'm
No,
glad we did talk about it. But let's
yeah.
get back on to the future of food here. From your perspective, is the produce industry adapting quickly enough to changes, or are there areas where it's falling behind?
Uh, on the positive side, I think the produce industry, especially in the US, like made great adaptations in the last years. If you look at berries,
Mhm.
strawberries,
Yeah,
blueberries, domestic production has grown nearly 80% in the last 15
80%.
years.
Wow.
And like people like growers shifted from oranges, grapefruit to the berries, and then there's a huge take up in that one. I think this is a great news. So we see that if people find the right opportunity, they really go into that direction. But there are certain areas that I feel like also produce industry is falling a bit behind. One of them is the convenience. Of course, now we have more precut foods, ready to eat salads, and much more different formats right now, which is great because people can eat them on the go, like find an opportunity to taste different things. But I still believe there is much to do. So we are just discovering that part.
Yeah.
And the second one is really the branding and storytelling. We all know that like large CPG companies are great in that one, and then it
Mhm.
takes a lot of attention. So we don't see that in the produce industry.
Right.
And what I believe is like we are seeing this in the produce industry, the competition is the another producer, but actually it's also the granola bars. It's also the other packaged foods, healthy
Right.
claim packaged foods on the aisle. So I think the focusing on the really the branding, the storytelling, and differentiating the produce industry is really important.
Yeah.
And the last one is the efficiency. What I see is, especially in the processing side of the food industry, the companies made $1 billion of investments in total, but the efficiency has decreased 6% in the last 15 years. So
Hmm.
despite all the money that we are throwing, like the efficiency is decreasing. And I can understand that because the complexity is increasing significantly. Like, there is new products come on the market, new things that we are trying. And we also know that in the produce industry, there's a challenge around it. It's like labor challenges. There's a lot of labor challenges in the industry. So those are the things I think that needs to be addressed. So there are some great stories, but especially the convenience, the branding, and the efficiency part of it, I believe there's still way to go.
Yeah, branding for produce has been difficult. I think a lot of that has to do with because fresh fruits and vegetables are not widgets that can be stamped out on a production line,
Yeah,
always the same, exactly the same.
yeah,
So it's hard to build a brand sometime when you have varying qualities of the product, and people kind of. So a lot of produce companies haven't done that. We've tried to encourage them, and one of the things we want to do with this podcast is help those growers and shippers reach the consumers with their brand, and we're seeing
yeah,
more and more of those companies trying to create a brand that's recognizable. There's really very few. If you ask people on the street, can you name a produce brand? They can say Sunkist, maybe Dole, Del Monte, maybe Driscoll's.
Driscoll, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And now these clementines, cuties, and halos. I think some people recognize that
yeah,
as a successful
yeah.
brand.
And
Well, how
then
do they?
there's
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, sorry, and they're still the large company brands. Like, what about
Yeah.
like a specific brand of a berry? So what I'm finding right now is in berries, we starting doing this more because they are really in the entrance of the every like grocery.
Yeah.
And I have a daughter of like 10 years old, and now she has a favorite brand of a berry.
Oh,
So, which is a good
okay.
news, right? But we are still at the early stages of really building a
Yeah.
brand story for the
Right.
producer.
Should I ask what that brand is? We probably had them on the show.
I don't remember, so
Okay.
that's my bad.
All
She
right.
knows, but I don't.
Well, you mentioned it very early on that the amazing progress they've made in developing new varieties that are just super sweet. Like blackberries, years ago you buy a blackberry and it's going to be tart, probably not much
Yeah,
sweet. Now they're consistently sweet.
yeah.
So they're doing a great job with those new varieties. I was curious a bit about the efficiency. How is that measured? I'm not quite sure I understand what you mean by that. Does it have to do with waste when the produce companies are trying to create value-added products, pre-cut, that kind of thing, or is it bigger and broader than that?
It is more about like output per labor. So you
Oh,
have
okay.
like how many labor you have in the market and what's the output is coming from that.
Got
Like
it.
the market is growing, but like we are having more labor in the industry, but the output is growing less compared to the number of like employees that we are
That is
having.
required. Okay.
And the reason is like we have more automation, we have more investments, but still the complexity is like getting bigger and bigger every day. So that's the biggest challenge.
Right. Got it. Well, sustainability is a huge topic now, and
Yeah.
that's a broad term that can mean a lot of different things. But how do you see produce fitting into the future of the sustainability and improving? There's a lot of talk about food waste in the produce industry that
Yes. Yes.
huge percentages of people
Yeah.
our produce is wasted. But anyway, talk about that generally.
Yeah. I think like again, fresh has really a great advantage on that topic, right? Like whenever we say sustainability, I think fruits and vegetables, like nuts, whole grains, they're the first things that in everyone's mind. And from that perspective, I think like fresh produce has a great advantage. But as you mentioned, when it comes to the supply chain discussions, there is like some challenges and like food waste is one of them that you mentioned. So like based on like my readings and then from previous experiences, like we are talking about 30-40% of food waste in fresh like produce. So this is
Yeah,
during the
it's
entire
huge.
journey. So it's huge. That's one of the biggest challenge. And the other one is the food miles.
Uh,
So yeah, in the US, like based on the recent work that we do, we are now importing 57% of the fruit that we are consuming. So
uh,
it was 34% in 2000. In 20 years, it increased like significantly.
Yeah,
So
doubled
this means
almost.
that more cold chain, more transportation, more energy. It's great that we are having access to all the options globally, but this means that we are they are traveling more. So that's another challenge. So I think these are the challenges. On the opportunity side, the crop diversification, I still believe is a great opportunity. We are still eating maybe 100, 200 type of fruit, vegetables, but there are a lot to discover in the world. We
Right.
all know about it, but like we are quite conservative about trying new things as human beings, to be honest, especially in food. But I think this is a great opportunity for everyone, especially if we really want to be like close to where the product is produced. Like the regional options, more resilient options are available with this like crop diversity. So there is a great story behind it, but there are a lot of challenges, I would say, overall.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about the incredible variety of fresh fruits and vegetables in Turkey. And of course, you go to Asia and, even walk into an Asian market in the LA area where you live and the
Yeah.
unbelievable fruits and vegetables you've never seen before. But it's great to have access to those now. We try to highlight some of that here sometimes. But
Yeah, exactly, exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
200 or 300 is not a lot when you consider the thousands and thousands, maybe millions of different varieties of things.
Exactly, exactly.
But that's a positive trend. I think people are becoming more adventurous and trying new things. So anyway, well, let's
Everyone
talk.
but me.
Oh, go ahead.
But what you said, we produce less than 50% of the produce for our country.
In fruit, yes. For fruits, we are importing 57% of what we are consuming today. So, and the main reason is not only we produce less, but the type of the fruit that we are consuming has changed as well. Now we are like eating more avocados, like different type of tropical fruits that typically we don't produce in the US. So I think that's also the access to different varieties is great, but it has implications about how we manage the supply chain. And we expect that number to increase to 65% in the next 10 years. So
Oh,
like it's
wow.
really continue to increase if we look at the type of the fruit that we are eating today.
Yeah. Rick, you had a question?
Yes. Do you work with farmers or do you work with retailers? What is your client base?
So we don't typically work with the farmers. We work typically with like food manufacturers, produce like companies or food distributors. So they are the main companies. So we are typically
So,
work with like companies like at least have like two, three, four facilities and managing a like sizable operation.
Okay.
good. Well, let's talk a bit about technology. We don't think of farmers as being very technical, but there
Yeah.
is a lot of technology that's come in, especially in the last few years.
Yeah.
What innovations stand out for you as far as technology in fresh fruits and vegetables and the growing of them, packing, shipping, the whole works?
Yeah. So first of all, what I believe is what I see is like the progress over the last 2 decades has been much slower than the decades before in terms of yields and then the efficiencies that we are getting from the field. So
Hmm.
I think that was a kind of a slower period, like compare after the industrial revolution. There was a huge progress for some time, but for the last decades, we are making progress, but the pace of the progress is much slower.
Hmm.
That's why I believe like AI is the biggest opportunity here. Like not only the like precision agriculture type of solutions, but really bringing new innovations to the market. I think we need really AI support on that one. Uh, the second one, of course, the robotics. I'm seeing much more interesting machineries, like equipment, vehicles in the market that we don't see like 10 years ago. I think in the US we are really making good investments to those like robotic technologies on the field, but like I'm really hopeful that like we will see different technologies on the robotic side as well. And then there is the humanoid side of the story. So like labor challenges is one of the biggest issues that the industry is facing, and I think it will become even more challenging in the future. So the humanoid robots for processing, packing, sorting, like will be also a great advantage, like to increase the efficiency, effectiveness, consistency will be very important. And like those robots like that will come to the market maybe next year are still not fully industry ready, because using at home versus using at a facility or field will be different, and there are still some certain gaps. But within the next 5 years, I believe we will see a lot of like humanoid robots like in a field or in a facility. So that's the interesting story, because and it's super efficient. It will be much more cost effective, so it will have really implications on the industry. There is a, of course, dark side of the story, which comes to employment and so on. But from like efficiency and effectiveness perspective, I believe like both the robotic machines and the humanoid robots will add significant benefits.
Yeah. Well, we have to feed the world, and if humans and the human labor part of it becomes too challenging, they have to look at these solutions. We had an
Yeah,
apple grower on, just I was thinking about as you were talking about they have equipment now in their packing lines that can look inside the apple, like a CAT scan or an MRI or something, and tell if the inside is rotten, and it'll toss it out. They don't have to even a human hand doesn't have to touch it,
yeah.
and they can do all kinds of evaluations of each piece of fruit. And it was just amazing to see what was happening there. I'm sure you've probably seen some of these things. And
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. So it's getting harder and harder every day. I see, like in my clients. So I have clients that are not able to run the third shifts effectively because they are not able to find anyone who wants to work from 2 a.m. to like 9 a.m. in the morning. Or you
right,
find like people, but they don't have skills there. There's a like skill gap, so you don't get the most benefit. So really there is a like downside in the humanist story, but I also feel that the industry really needs it to make a step change.
yeah. Well, talking about feeding the world, there are some new farming techniques. There's indoor vertical farming, and these things which claim to have, a lot of efficiencies in that, and it makes sense. But we've also talked to people who feel like it cannot be profitable in the end. So, what are you
Yeah.
seeing in that world, the indoor vertical farming, as opposed to being out in the field?
Yeah, indoor farming, greenhouses have really made good progress, especially for leafy greens, herbs, microgreens. Like in those categories, I think the economics works, because the products are high value, lightweight, and it's like shipped poorly over long distances. So
Yeah,
growing them closer to the consumer really reduces the weight, extends the shelf life. So there's a lot of benefit. But as you mentioned, for the vast majority of the produce, the economics does not work.
right.
And I don't believe that it will work in the very short time. So
Mhm.
the energy cost, the capital intensity, and the space, like for the indoor facilities, they are not able to provide the enough room for the scale we need. So I believe like these controlled environments has a really strategic role, but in terms of resilience, rather than really feeding the world through them. So I see them more a kind of like insurance, but not the main like policy or not the main approach. So it's very important to have them, especially in a world that's like the climate disruptions become more frequent. But most likely we will not see them in a large scales for most of the fresh fruits and vegetables that we see, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, we've talked to several, most of them they were Canadian growers who grow in greenhouses, and they're producing quite a bit, a lot of different varieties of things. But the dirty little secret that they all, not all, but some have told us is the only way they can make it profitable is by growing marijuana. So I won't name any names. Well, they do it legally. They're in Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a problem there, but they do tell us it's a struggle to grow tomatoes and peppers and make it profitable. So, but
Yeah, yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
that's something that it makes a lot of sense. But another area I just pop into my head, and I hope I'm not taking this off on a tangent, but the Dutch have always been really good at growing. I don't know if you work much in Europe. You probably do since you're a European citizen. Holland has been way ahead of that for years. And
Yes.
what's happening there? They must be profitable because these companies are going
Yeah,
in.
exactly. So I think you're right. So it is very surprising compared to their like size of the country, how much they produce, and they are very effective. I think they are using really the right technologies from the early beginning. So from technology wise, from the approach wise, from the structure wise, they are the most structured like growers that I seen, to be honest. I think that's the difference. They really approach it much more scientific rather than like just seeing this as an investment and see how it goes. So I
Right.
think that was the biggest difference. But of course they are much better in trade rather than in production.
Yeah, that's
They're,
true.
they're
They've been ahead of us
stronghold.
on that too for a
Yeah.
long time,
Yeah,
going back hundreds of years. But well, we're talking about feeding the world. We just recorded a podcast with a man who works for the Organic Trade Association, and we talked about organics. Uh, I've seen some studies that say we could never really feed the world if everything was organic, and the same argument has been made on GMOs. So, what is your thought on organics and GMOs? We're very pro-organic here, but we also realize that conventional farming is not as great a health risk as most people think, in our opinion. But I'd like to hear what you think, and how's that going to affect the future?
Yeah. So maybe I can start with the GMOs. I think on the GMO side, I think it has really like good potential for the produce industry. So developing varieties that resist diseases, tolerate drought, reduce like losses. So these are really helpful. But on the other side, like as you mentioned, the market reality is like from consumer perspective, the trust is a bit mixed, right? So like people
Yeah,
have always concern in GMOs, and not only consumers, the retailers as well. So
yeah,
when you look at the no list of Whole Foods, like Panera, like Trader Joe's, like you see non-GMO as an item in their list. So like there
right.
is also conception in the customers in the retailer side as well. So I think overcoming this is really depends on the communication. So the concern that people have is like why are we doing this? Are we doing this for more the food itself to make it more profitable, or really like providing more access and becoming more effective? So I think the story, like as an industry, we were not able to tell the message like to the consumers probably from day one. I think like there was no active way of managing those communications, and now it seems a bit hard to come back. And on the organic side, I agree like to the point. So the organic still remains as like a good upside alternative. And like we had recently made a study on avocados, and in that one, like we also see that like even like you do like a lot, you put a lot of effort. So still today in the world, maybe like still like 20-30% of the avocados that we are having like organics, and like it's not really easy to scale this up. it has really incremental costs, and the downside is like the benefits is not very always clear. So I still believe that those will, especially organic, will continue to stay as an upsell opportunity or differentiation opportunity, but not the mainstream. And I believe also people are starting to understanding that the conventional farming is not that bad. I think we had a period that the conventional farming, as you mentioned, is bad, and we are using pesticides, we are using all the bad things. I think now people are investing a lot in giving the right messages, showing that like they are trying their best, and then to with conventional methods as well, and they are working fine. I think that we are recovering from that.
Yeah, yeah. The Environmental Working Group is one group that comes out every year, the list of the 12, the Dirty Dozen, they always come out with. It's usually always the same list every year. One of the things that's always on the list is strawberries, but we've talked with other scientists who know a lot about how pesticides are used and the pesticide residue on strawberries. I think Cynthia has a line she always uses on this. It's like you'd have to, how much would you have to eat to actually
660 pounds.
well, like a day or a year or what? I don't know.
I'm
Anyway.
guessing like in one sitting.
Before it would actually have any real
Before
effect
you
on
would get, I think he said that it was like to consume pesticides at an amount that would be significant, you'd have to eat 660 pounds.
Yeah, I'm sure that's debatable, and there's different studies, and of course, it'd be great if we could grow everything without pesticides,
and that would cause more health problems.
That's true.
Along with it, if you ate 660 pounds of strawberries once.
Yeah. So as I said, we're pro-organic. It'd be great if everything could grow without pesticides. A lot of people don't realize that even it can be certified organic, they still are using some pesticides. They're just more natural.
Yeah, they think it's no pesticides, right?
But anyway, we won't go in. That's a debate.
No synthetic pesticides.
Yeah, I think that's what they say. So, do you focus primarily on the U.S. in your work, or do you?
Yes. Yeah. Primarily, like I would say, like 70% of our work is in the U.S. We have some work in the Europe as well.
But you have to keep a big eye on the global situation. You can't just, in order to advise your clients, well, you got to know what's going on. So, looking globally, are there some regions or cultures around the world who are really on top of things in the fresh produce world more than others?
Yeah, of course. Like I'm originally, as I mentioned, from Turkey, so I can start from there. So the Mediterranean food culture, like Turkey, Greece, Italy, Spain, Portugal, like the fruits, vegetables, like legumes, olive oil, like it's really at the center of every meal.
Right.
So the challenge in those markets are really right now, like finding the right fruit and vegetables at the right price. So what we oversee, like in what we see in the last like 30 years, like they started to become a bit more luxury for some of the like tables. So that's a big problem. So it was much more convenient to have a proper access to a food, like a vegetable or fruit in Turkey, in Greece, like years ago. Now, like people really like allocate some of their budget to buy fruits. So the accessibility is the issue here. I think like we made a great progress in terms of like scale, but like we lose the price advantage of the market. So that's the biggest issue. And then of course you also mentioned the Southeast Asia. Like it's a heaven, like for like especially vegetables and fruits. Yeah, and Latin America is amazing very inspiring in terms of supply perspective. They are feeding most of the world for some of the fruits and vegetables that they have. So really, from global perspective, there is a lot of cultures focused on the produce. And when I look at like the US, still we are, I believe, like far behind compared to some of the like countries like that are putting fresh produce to the table as the main course. And we also discussed this, like the farmer markets here. Their scale is the good thing is they are everywhere. So in every really country, in every neighborhood, you find one. But like the scale is very limited, the variety is very limited. So every week I go to farmers market. But still, I need to go to a grocery store because I can't find half of the vegetables and fruits that I would like to have at my house. So that I think I think it's a good opportunity to really try to expand that one because people are really going to the farmers market more and they are really looking trying to find something that they can feel, understand, know. uh, I see like I believe we will see new business models in the future in the farmers market because there's a demand and some people will react on it and then we'll try new models in the farmers market. I know a couple of them. They are still in the beginning phase, but like people are trying to really expand that space as well.
All right. Well, we're running out of time here, so I just want to get to some final. Well, let me just go to one final question for you.
Okay.
If we fast forward 20 years, what do you imagine the produce department in a typical grocery store might look like? And
Yeah.
what's the future general?
Yeah, first thing that I don't want to see is that the produce department in the corner or on one side, like that is like some still, unfortunately, some groceries we still see that like there's like limited like aisles for the really fresh
Oh,
produce. This
interesting.
is
Yeah.
one thing that I don't want to see. But I also believe that we will see new concepts. What I mean by new concepts is like as longevity topics are becoming more important, maybe we will not see produce aisles as a completely separate aisle from the others in the future. So, for
Interesting.
instance, you can have some gut health products, right? In gut health, you can have both like produce plus the packaged food as well.
Wow, that's
Or you can
interesting.
have some like maybe brain health or mental health. So there are some people are looking for the right functionality for their problems, and we can see new way of like offering them to the people. So that's one thing that I will see. I believe in the next 20 years we can see different concepts than the past decades. And the other one is really a bit like worries me a bit is like this having humanoids at our houses. They prepare us for everything. Most likely they will order for everything as well.
Oh, right.
So
Interesting.
Say
so
that again?
so if we have the humanoids robots in our
Human
houses,
age robots.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
if they cooks for us, most likely they will order for us. So we will not order. So most likely the companies will sell to the robots rather than selling to
Oh,
us. So
wow.
like maybe it seems like a bit like long shot, but really, if I would be the company, if I'm getting from continuously from an order from a robot, like I will try to think about how I can attract that robot in a way that can select us. Of
Yeah,
course, like
interesting.
there's a human element in this. That's why the way that we offer the products, that we like make the products attractive, it can change. So
Yeah,
that's
fascinating. Well, there are already smart refrigerators. I've seen these advertised that can monitor the quantity of milk, or it might be hard to monitor everything in the fridge. I can't
Yeah,
imagine
so if you're
that.
just going to tell me milk, you're not doing me any favors. Okay, I'll go back and look at the 500 other things I got to think
Yeah,
of.
right. Well, one thing
How much
about,
ice cream is left?
yeah,
That, and you know what
that's
else I
important.
think? Like, I don't have like one of those ovens on the top, like, what are they called? Like, just on the top of your counter, just like a
hmm
little oven that you wouldn't turn on your big oven.
A
I don't
microwave. It's called a microwave.
gross. No, that's up there. But even that, like it's more clutter. So I can't have another human robot piece of equipment that stuffed in my house. So like I don't know that like somebody's gonna come in and like order for me. And my father was a chef, so this better be a really good piece of equipment that can like put it together.
And Cynthia's a great cook too. So, she's,
I've got a comment on the robot. Why not have the rooftop garden greenhouse and the robot grows the food and picks it and brings it down to the kitchen and cooks it?
No,
I'm
Then
laughing. Ozan
we'll
is
just
not
call her
laughing. He's
we'll
like
just
saying,
call
yeah.
her the little red hen.
No,
Yeah,
really.
we can even have eggs. We can even have chickens up there, and
No,
they can
no,
take
because
care of
who was going to help her?
Yeah.
The fox is too tired. This one's like that. So she went and
Yeah.
No, really, like these are the stories or the use cases are people thinking about. Maybe you can even like have them, can them, and then you can have your like store in your own house. So really, there are multiple use cases. But in that case, you will need most likely more than one robot.
Yeah.
yeah. And are they going to fold the napkins the way I want them folded?
And if you ever have any input on these robots, make sure they program it like my Alexa device, the AI version of Alexa,
Why?
because I actually argue with her all the time.
Oh God.
I'll
Over
ask her a
what?
question, and if I disagree with the answer, I'll actually argue. Have it so that if you're late home from work and they've got the meal prepared, they actually say, "Where were you? The food has been prepared for 2 hours."
Yeah.
We want a
And then the guy
robot, not a
comments,
wife,
"The
Rick.
toast is burned." Again.
A
Yeah.
robot, not a wife. I don't want a wife.
Yeah. The one thing that really makes me like
Be careful. Be careful. I don't like that look on his face. He's going to say something.
no, like the one thing that really makes me like thinking about this robot technology is this fleet learning. So this is like this is very interesting because they say what will happen is if one robot learns one thing, the entire fleet, what doesn't matter wherever in the world, will learn that thing. So
Interesting.
as you mentioned, if you want your napkin as such, if someone teach them somewhere in the world, like they will do it. So like the learning part is so fast and so like quick. So they will be able to do many things. But yeah, they're still years away, but not that off, I would say.
Yeah. Teresa, did you have a question? You're muted, I think.
No,
Oh, sorry.
I was just thinking about the connected robots and that we would want to have the option that ours was just ours, not connected to everybody else.
Oh shit, it's got to be connected to somebody else?
So he just said if somebody taught the robot how to fold a napkin,
Right,
then
but
your robot might fold the napkin the way the other robot was taught because they're connected.
and then I'll say, whoever
to
taught
teach
you
it.
didn't know what the hell they're doing. Watch this. Look at me.
It's machine learning. Machine learning.
You're right. This is the way that they are learning, but the entire robot industry is right now working on how they can like scale this up with AI. So in the
So
future,
one robot that's got like every recipe known to man, they
yeah,
do it.
a-
They go and teach all the other robots?
yeah, it will immediately replicate that information in everywhere, in every robot. And the interesting thing is, in the future, most likely we don't need to show them to learn something because AI will be able to create those data, create every movement that we can make as a data, and then teach them in the backend. So, like right now, the way that the robot learns is very manual, time consuming. That's why it's growing very slowly. But now they are developing AI models just for that, so that you don't really need to show it because AI model
So-
will design it in a way that they will do.
And like, to your point, they were saying that what they wanted to achieve with these videos is that you saw the way I was chopping, like the
Yeah.
the nuances of it.
Yeah, exactly. But like the way that it will teach is that those AIs will watch hundreds, tons of like hours of videos. So in those
Yeah, in just a
videos,
few
there will be,
seconds.
yeah,
by the
in a
way.
few seconds, there will be all the human actions, the things that we
They
can
could already do that.
They should have like the people who like, all the famous chefs that have the perfect knife skills and the perfect kitchen skills and like that should be the foundation.
It's
And
out
then,
there
like,
on YouTube already. AI can
Exactly.
yeah,
watch
but
it in
like
seconds.
if you watch Thomas Keller, he's a little bit different than Bobby Flay, who's a little
Right.
bit different
Maybe
than
we
like,
will choose the style that we
Yeah,
want,
there
right?
you go. Man, this is
exactly.
okay. We got to
You
let
just don't-
Ozan go.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead,
you
Teresa.
just don't want your robot because someone was stabbed by their robot. You don't want the robot to be stabbing you. There are
I'm
a
not
lot of
sure
ways
I
it
will
could go
give a
wrong.
knife. I'm not sure I
Yeah,
will give a
is
knife.
there a way that you can like, like, when your computer freezes, but you're like, and you can just force shut it down? Can you force shut down this thing?
Well,
We'll
that's
have a
the big
remote.
discussion in AI right now is can they stop it? I think there's been some experiments about trying to shut it down and sometimes AI refusing to
Right,
do it.
right,
This is
right,
a
right.
big topic
Wasn't
right
that the
now.
movie? I'm sorry, I
I don't
can't do
know.
that.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
Oh,
that
yeah.
wasn't.
2000 Space Odyssey 2001. Sorry, Hal. I can't. Oh, no. Sorry, Dave. It was Hal.
I can't do that.
Yeah. Anyway, we need to let Ozan go. I know he's busy and got a lot of important work to do for us to ensure our foods for the future. So we will let you go. But
Oh boy.
there's a ritual we make all our guests go through, Ozan. I didn't tell you or Katarina about it. So, because I figured if I did, you wouldn't come on. Because this ritual is painful.
Okay. I'm ready for it.
Here's the deal. Teresa loves puns, and she brings one to every episode, and they're always bad. And they're so bad they're painful.
Yeah, it's a bit.
So
Yes.
I don't know if you like puns, or some people call them dad jokes. I don't know if
Yeah.
you tell your children bad jokes and they groan at them. But anyway, Teresa brings a pun. It's usually in the form of a question. She sets it up with a little bit of a story, and there's the question, and we try to guess what the punny answer is.
Okay.
Only Teresa knows. Rick, Cynthia, and I don't know what the answer is. But she asks a question. We try to guess what the answer is. So we call this segment homegrown.
Oh.
Ugh.
So, are you ready to play homegrown with us, Ozan?
Of course. It's my
All right.
favorite.
Yeah, good. Okay, Teresa, what's the homegrown of the day?
Okay, so um, Apple, we'll call him Jack because, Apple Jack, that's kind of a good name for an apple. He was looking into the future and thinking about longevity, and he thought, people were describing themselves as having an apple-shaped body, and he thought, this is not good. And he thought, well, I'm gonna go to a fitness program, a gymnasium, and start working out so I can develop a better image for apples. And so he looks very carefully, finds a great gymnasium, goes, and Jack is looking at all the different options of classes and exercise equipment, and he walked around and looked everywhere, and then he looked at some of the classes and he just freaked out, and he ran out of the gymnasium. Why did Jack run out of the gymnasium, and what was he afraid of?
Okay, so this apple, which is named Jack, uh, once he's ashamed at the portrait that people have of having apple-shaped bodies, and he's going to inspire them and get in shape. So he goes to a gym. He looks at all the possible equipment and routines, and something there freaks him out, and he runs away. So what is that?
Mm.
Rick, come on. You've got you. Rick is good at these. I'm terrible
You
at
didn't want to be appealing.
them. That's not bad.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
He was
Yeah.
looking.
Very good.
He was. He thought to be appealing, he had to be appealed. I don't know. You kind of get the idea, Ozan. This is bad.
Yeah,
Really
I got the
bad.
idea. I'm just thinking. So
Yeah, I know.
Apple Jack in the
I'm
gymnasium.
coming, Mom.
Apple Jack in the gymnasium. What are the apple? Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. I can't think of anything.
And that was so bad. Like, I'm pretty impressed. They continually get worse.
Uh-huh.
And complex.
I always think it cannot go worse than this, and yet you have found a way.
Yeah.
I can't make
Sorry,
any
I
connection.
know.
Yeah, I have nothing.
Yeah, sorry, don't know.
Okay, Teresa, you've stumped us again.
Yeah.
What's the
Okay.
answer?
Okay. So he's looking at the fitness classes and he says, "Oh my goodness, crunches." And that scared him to death because he was afraid that meant they'd be eating him. Crunches. Crunches.
Crunches. Oh,
Crunches.
oh.
Isn't that
Aw.
awful?
Yeah, that was
That is
really
awful.
bad. I mean,
Yeah.
like, sorry.
I will
Crunch.
test it with my daughter. Like,
Exactly.
Don't torture your daughter, please. Okay. All right, Ozan, this has been a real pleasure. You've given us a lot of info. We didn't get through all the questions, but you did answer a lot of them. I didn't even have to ask them, so that was great. So we might have to have you back another time if you're
Yeah.
willing to come on and suffer the torment.
Suffer, exactly.
So thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time.
thank you very much. I really enjoyed every minute. Thank you very much, Teresa, Rick, CJ. Thank you, Edwin. So it was a great pleasure. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Great.
You were fascinating. Thanks so
Yeah.
much for being on the show. It was very interesting.
This is going to be one of our best.
Yeah,
All right.
definitely.
Thanks a lot, Ozan.
Thank you
Take
very much.
care.
It was a great
Bye.
pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, listeners, for tuning in to the Produce Buzzers podcast, brought to you by Produce Buzz, the gathering place for lovers of fresh fruits and veggies. We hope you were entertained a bit and educated a lot about fresh produce. Be sure to join us next time, and please tell your friends to do so as well. Like, share, and comment on our Produce Buzz Facebook page, and check out our website at www.producebuzz.com. There you will find articles about fresh fruits and veggies, how to select, store, and prepare them, as well as lots of interesting facts about all the wonderful bounty the earth provides for us. Until next time, be fruitful and don't forget to veg out.